Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is VisitPlanVenture, and today we're going to take you on a road trip. I am heading down to an area called Nyanza in Rwanda, and I'm very excited about this. The reason why we're going out there is to visit the King's Palace, and you're going to see all the beautiful views of the hills along our ride. As you can see, this country is so beautiful, it's indescribable. But back in the olden days, the country was ruled by a monarchy, and there's a lot of great nostalgia associated with the monarchy. And I, for one, was very curious about learning more about the historical context of the monarchy, when it ended and when they shifted over. So this is going to be quite informative, and I'm very excited about it. Definitely, if you're going to take this trip, it is about 2.5 hours one way. So it's going to be slightly over 5 hours round trip, depending on the traffic. So if you're going to go, definitely take some snacks with you, some water. You can either go by private car or you could go by public bus, but just be prepared with some nourishment along the drive so that you are not out there and getting too hungry during the trip. But this is fantastic. So let me get into the clip, and I'm going to come back in just a second to give you some more narration and background on the King's Palace.
From like 1,000 years up to 1959, that was the time when we moved from monarchy to the republic. So the last kings was named the first king was Gihanga Ngomijana, and the last one was
So you just had like 2 kings alone?
no, we had 33 kings.
33 kings.
33. And you had one female queen, right?
And we had one female queen and his mother and king. But in that position, the king's mother, who was named Mugabekazi, was the real one in power, who was the most powerful in the kingdom. After the king, he was the second one.
Okay.
So tell us more about Nyanza. What part of the country is Nyanza?
Nyanza, it is a southern province. And as I said before, it was the first capital city of Rwanda, even before the arrival of the colonials. And
what can you say about the people of Nyanza?
About the people of Nyanza,
The food there,
they like food there. There's cassava, they like cassava, they found cassava there, beans, and because the soil there, that is the only things that can grow there, like cassava, beans, and even coffee. For the people who like coffee, it's mainly down there. They found it down there.
Okay.
Especially the people there, they have culture because of the king of there. Culture of Rwanda started there.
Okay. So here we are at the entrance to the King's Palace Museum, and we're just going to walk into the front area here, and you're going to be greeted by the Nyanza cultural trails. Now, these trails are unique in Rwanda as they are circular in nature and connect a variety of historical, heritage sites and museums and natural landmarks, wetlands and hills in the ancient capital of the kingdom in Rwanda. So this is sort of like a pilot project in the Nyanza district that is promoting cultural tourism. So as you can see here, they have the Royal Trail and then the Big View Trail. So you can see what areas that covers. If you're interested in taking the trails, then you can definitely do that. But I like that they are promoting the tourism. Here we're heading towards the reception, and this is where you would pay the entrance fee, and then also you would pay the fee if you're interested in going to spend some time with the royal cows. Now, when we went, Momo was not working, so it's recommended that you bring cash in the event Momo is not working. So here we are, this is the King's Palace, and it says it's a reconstruction of the traditional royal residence. The King's Palace is beautifully crafted, thatched dwelling shaped like a beehive. In olden times, Nyanza was the heart of Rwanda, and the monarchy used to be mobile, so it was in various locations, but eventually settled in Nyanza. All right, so here we have some of the beautiful pictures. It says here the elegant cows derived from a particular breed called the Ankole breed played an important role during ceremonies in honor of the king. And as you can see, they have unique horns. And this is something that I have never experienced in person, so this was quite special for me, although slightly scary as well, but I still enjoyed it. So this is the welcome sign, just giving you some historical context. The first tree here on the right side is known as a fig tree, and this was planted to support the fence that was a sign that this was the king's residence. They planted the tree there specifically, and then the other tree on the left-hand side was known as umuko, and that was to ensure protection against witches and sorcerers. So here we are at the outside of the King's Palace. As you can see, there's a wide area. It was enclosed by a fence, and it was normal for people to visit the king. Some people spent several days there before meeting him, so they needed a larger area to house the people that were interested in seeing the king. Now, they came to either vet some problems that they were going through, and they would wait for the king in the yard to present their complaints, which mainly had something to do with land, cattle, and other family problems. Now, as you can see, the inside has such intricate work. It is beautifully designed. You see the imagongo here on the right-hand side as soon as you come into the entrance. And then I didn't film too much on the inside because we were asked not to film too much, so I just filmed at this entrance part. But if you're interested in seeing more on the inside, I highly recommend that you visit this museum. It is very beautiful. Now here is another one where this is a milk hut where they stored all of the milk. So they had a separate hut to store the milk, and it was designed very similarly. And this one is the beer hut where they would grind the sorghum into wheat, and then they would also make beer out of it and any other food items that they wanted to make out of sorghum. So this is the outside of the hut, and this lady is going to sing the beautiful song that they normally sing when they are grinding the sorghum. And you see the traditional materials here. This is just rock, and then she's grinding down the sorghum using that rock.
Want to try?
Me try?
Yeah, I can try.
Sure. Can you? You can film. Huh?
Okay.
Can you hold the camera for me? Yeah, thank you.
Is it recording?
Yes, it's recording. Just hold it. Just point it there. I'll try a little bit. I don't think I'm as strong as Mom, but.
It was a job for women.
Thank you. Oh, so the men cannot do this?
No.
These days the men have to.
All right, so you have to teach me.
Can push the sorghum with the hand?
Oh, push it like this?
No, just
No,
So
you cannot jump there.
Oh, I can't lift it up.
Yes. Can do on both sides.
sure.
end it. Sorry, the record's ended.
One side, two.
So although I'm not as skilled as Mom, definitely I appreciated the effort that went into this grinding. It's not something that's very simple, and it did require a lot of strength to do this, especially if you're doing it on a daily basis. Now, I personally eat porridge, oatmeal in the morning that is made out of sorghum, so this was quite interesting for me. So I was glad to get that experience to get hands-on there. So next we're going to go see the barrels that they stored the beer in. This is the sorghum beer so that it can ferment and turn into beer that they would consume. And as you can see, these are the bigger vessels that they would store the beer. So beer was very heavy in their culture. So they had a separate hut for this, same as they had a separate hut for the milk. So this was quite interesting. The construction on the inside is very similar to the others. So that was very nice to see. Now we're heading over to check out the royal cows. And as you can see, I have never seen this type of cow before in my entire life. These are royal cows that have unique shaped horns, and it is so elegantly beautiful. Now, I have to admit, I was slightly concerned. I didn't know if they would be charging at us or what their reaction would be, but they're very docile, so definitely do not be scared.
urayibona ko inyange yazaharitse ku masonga bazimana ikazihungura imanga umva nkunda ko zeza amahembe zigatukuza amasonga ziracumitira mu rwaro zigahinguranya mu Rwanda umva ziracumitisha amatwi amahembe agakeba imanzi wangeriwe ingeriwe herega ngwino twigendagendere twigira iyo bahabundangi kwa Nyamugabe inka warwamagaju kwa Nyamusasira impoga zizikaramye Kuyawa zisasira umukenke naho umukeri urazihanda wangeriwe umvara yanze gukamirwa mu rutoke bidatonyagirwa n'amakakami gahindanya amagaju kandi amabere yabaye imitari umva yanze no gukamirwa iyo bayikiraro beje batazayita ikirarashyamba windende herega zirimo imboneza mihigi amasimbi ku mugongo ikitwa indatirwa abahizi umva zirimo amana mpire nyina wa mugabo mutima ukesha imana inyambo zihinduye guta umva zirimo indangamirwa y'abaganwa baganda zikukanya amagana abagabo bayivuganira ibigwi ngo n'umubera birori intore zibereye guhamiriza iyo rudasumbwa n'ikibumbiri umugabo umva arayikubise urushunzi mu nkongoro maze imungu yimuka mu gisabo imbeho ishira mu myugariro turakaza neza nyana ya rumaragishyika rwa mugabo zikabamo bigaragara zumva umugamba ntawe uzireba ngo arahumbye ingoho ingongo yabuze aho yajorwa muri mpamzi wa mpambara impanzi idakangururwa imiri zikabamo ingeri yo mu marebe y'amarambi imwe yari mu banje yanga ikimena ingabo zicyugurura amarembe ribanza sema ruti rutanga isake kubikana wari wigize igihararumba yamushinyaguriye mu maso ya rubanda nibwo ari bukubitiye mu ikubitiro ry'ubukombe n'uwamukurikira mukomeretsa n'uwari inyuma avuze ikobe yumva rukabonera he.
Thank you. Beautiful. Now this is a pile of dung mixed with other materials that are natural that is burning throughout the day to keep away the flies, the insects, so that they do not come and attack the cows. So this is something that is burning continually. So here we're just looking at the baby ones. They're very cute, but definitely the cows, the royal cows, are very important to this cultural context. It was during these times when the cows were actually given names. They were introduced to the royal parade, dance, songs, and poetry. They were for public display and performances, and they were specifically regarded as sacred. So here we are, I'm in front of the more modern King's Palace. What we saw before was traditional. This is the modern King's Palace. Unfortunately, no filming was allowed here, so we can only get a short clip of the exterior. But when you go, it is fantastic. They have so much historical context lined all along the walls on the inside. You can see the furniture that was actually used back then. You can see pictures of all of the monarchy. So this has significant historical context. So definitely you want to check out the traditional and then head right over to the more modern monarchy dwelling, and then you can see differences there, but I thoroughly enjoyed. So next, we headed over to the Institute of National Museums of Rwanda. This is the Ethnographic Museum. And unfortunately here again, no filming was allowed, but this one you can pay for the entrance fee the same time that you paid for the entrance fee to the King's Palace. So you can pay for them together. The drive in between was roughly 35 minutes. So if you wanted to visit both on the same day, then I would highly recommend that you do both. So here we're just heading back to Kigali, and I have to say I thoroughly enjoyed this day. It was so rich with history, rich with historical context. It was a beautiful day. There was no rain because we are in rainy season, so I was a little bit concerned about that. But if you are in Rwanda, definitely take the time to go visit the King's Palace. And then if you have some additional time, check out the Ethnographic Museum. All right, guys, thanks for coming along the journey with me. I hope everyone is doing well. I will see you all in the next one. Until then, be blessed. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Talk to you soon. Bye.